Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I have something special for you in this episode. I'm going to teach you how I make 20% returns a year from my stock market portfolio in the stock market without buying or selling any stocks. In truth, I actually make more than 20%, but I wanted to be conservative in this video because I want to teach our viewers and subscribers exactly what I do. Welcome to this channel, everyone. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me, and how I was able to live the American dream. I want to help you live your American dream. Let's get started. Now, I encourage you to watch this video all the way through to the end and understand the entire strategy as opposed to looking at one or two of the components. Let's get started. Here's the first principle of how I do this. You need to identify a stock that you believe in, a stock that you've researched, and a stock that you own. You must own this stock. You must own shares of the stock, and you must own at least 100 shares of the stock. So let's say you have a stock like Apple. Let's say it's a company that you believe in, it's a company that you've researched, it's a company where you understand the numbers, how much money they make, what is the number of shares outstanding for Apple, and what is the best price to buy Apple at. In other words, what should be your cost basis be, the price at which you buy the stock. Remember, you never want to overpay for a stock because a surefire way of losing money in the stock market is by overpaying for a stock. So make sure, again, you identify a company that you believe in and you identify a company that you own. You've got to own shares of this company. So again, you want to earn a return based on the shares that you already own. You cannot simply earn a return from the stock market if you don't earn any shares to begin with. So I'm going to make the assumption here that you have identified a company, you believe in the company, you know at what price you need to buy the company, and you own enough shares of the company in multiples of 100. Now, the second point is extremely important. It's the principle of acceptable cost basis. What does this mean? You never want to overpay for something. Let's say that your research suggests that Apple should be worth $90 a share. Again, this is just an example. You need to know how to do this type of research. Let's say your research suggests that Apple is worth $90 a share, but Apple is trading at $140 a share. Would you then invest in Apple just so that you could participate in Apple, or would you wait until Apple reaches your suggested buy price, your recommended price, if you will, not the retail price, but the price at which you know you're ready to buy Apple? Would you then wait for the price to drop, or would you buy it at 140 just so that you could get in? This is a fundamental psychological mistake made by most investors. It's called the fear of missing out, FOMO. The fear of missing out makes people do things that they would not normally do. Let's say you go to the grocery store and you wanted to buy something, and let's say you were willing to pay $10 for this thing, and let's say the thing costs $15. Chances are you're not going to buy it. There's always a supply and demand side to this because the stock market is based on supply and demand, and it is fundamentally a very emotional place. It does tend to act like a pendulum. It generally tends to sway too much in either direction. So when prices go up, they generally tend to go through the roof, and when prices come down, they come down so much that you have bargains, and that has happened and that will continue to happen in the stock market. But my point is, if you were planning on paying $10, you should not end up paying $15 just because you have a fear of missing out. You've got to wait until you get your item at the price that you want, because you don't want to rush into buying a stock and then regretting the decision later because you didn't put in the effort to value it and you didn't wait to get it at the right price. And a huge aspect of investing with an acceptable cost basis is, are you ready? Being patient. Investing is a game of patience. In fact, the most successful investors in the world do less buying and selling. They take less action. Just because you're doing something in the market doesn't mean you're going to be successful. In fact, by definition, the more active you are, the more likely you are to lose money, because the most successful investors make big bets at crucial times and then they wait for the next opportunity. So the next point is having an options account. You need to be working with a brokerage that gives you the ability to buy and sell options. So you need to get your account upgraded so that you can trade options. Now, as far as options go, there are some phenomenal channels on YouTube that teach you what call options are, what put options are, when to buy options, when to sell options, what's a covered call, and so on and so forth. So that is something that I encourage you to Google. That is something I encourage you to look up on YouTube. I can tell you that what I do is I simply sell options. I don't buy options. I sell options. I sell puts on stocks that I want to own, and I sell calls on stocks that I already own. This way I'm collecting money. Folks, when you sell an option, you're paid a premium. So what I try and do is I try and get paid money. I don't try and give out money. I don't buy options. I've never bought an option in my life, and I don't intend on buying options. So again, my strategy is to sell put options on stocks that I want to own. So let's say Apple's trading at $130 and I want to own Apple at $120. I can sell a put option for $120, which means I now have an obligation to buy that stock if the buyer of the option exercises their option, and if the buyer of the option decides to exercise their right to sell me that stock, I have the obligation to buy that stock. But to agree to that obligation, I actually get paid. But I'm willing to do that because I was happy to buy Apple at $120 anyway. So that was just an example. On the other hand, if I sell a call option, I'm essentially selling an obligation. The buyer of the call option has a right to call away, meaning take away the shares from me at that predetermined price. So for me, I usually sell call options, which by the way leads me to point 4 of my strategy, which is selling call options. So here's a simple example. Let's say I own Apple and my cost basis in Apple is right around $120, $125. If I sell a call option and I get paid 25 cents to sell that call option, let's say on Monday Apple's trading at $130. I now decide that I'm ready to sell a call for Apple at $136, which is still $6 higher than where Apple is at right now. And in order to sell that call option, in other words, I'm actually telling the buyer of the call option, you can take these shares away from me, which I already own. That's why it's called a covered call. You can take these shares away from me at $136, but in order for me to sell that obligation, you need to pay me 25 cents. So I pick up 25 cents, which if I can pick that up every week, by the way, I have been doing that for about a year and a half now, and I still haven't been called away. I am able to collect $12 a year because 25 cents a week equates to $12 a year, reducing my cost basis on these Apple shares. So this is a great way to essentially generate your own dividend and reduce your cost basis while riding the stock on the way up. This is important. Also while collecting dividends from the stock, because if you don't get called away, you technically still own the stock and you can continue collecting the dividends that companies like Apple continue to hand out to their shareholders. Which brings me to the final point. You should have a precise rule, a precise short-term guardrail. What do you want to achieve out of selling call options? So the strategy is I don't sell any of my shares. I don't even buy new shares. Any shares that I do own, I sell call options every week with a precise guardrail, with a precise requirement. And the precise rule is I want to make between 10 and 20% a year by selling covered calls. And then I also make money through the appreciation in the stock. I also make money through dividends in the stock over time. And this is the important part. As long as you've bought the stock at a fair price, at an appropriate price, in other words, as long as you haven't overpaid for the stock, stocks that make money and that do well tend to go up over time and tend to pay dividends. And if you can ride that journey without selling the stock, which is why this video was titled How to Make 20% a Year in the Stock Market Without Buying or Selling Stocks. If you can ride the journey of the stock on the way up over time, and if you can enjoy the dividends, and if you can make additional money through covered calls by having very, very simple goals every week. I'm not trying to collect $2 when I sell an Apple covered call. I'm trying to collect 25 cents a week. And I'm trying to be someone who nibbles, continues nibbling over many years, over the long term. Don't be too greedy. Don't try and sell a covered call that's super close to where the stock price is at. You could get called away, and then you'll have the short-term capital gains tax problem to deal with. Try and sell covered calls so you can start to make a little bit of money and generate your own dividend, bringing your effective return easily to 20% a year. You need to be able to identify the right stock, buy it at the right price, and then watch this video all over again so you can understand the entire strategy from start to finish. That was it, everyone. How I make 20% a year without buying or selling stocks in the stock market. I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. I want you to know I work hard for you on this channel every single day. I appreciate you. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I hope you learned something new. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. And if you have any questions, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.